Live from the slightly twisted deck bar, it's the Poojie Podcast with Justin Lemie.
The Poojie Podcast is proudly sponsored by Cimarron Golf Club, located in Jacksonville, Florida, off County Road 210, just west of St. John's Parkway.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. Thanks for being here. Episode 58 of the Poojie Podcast, Week 12 NFL preview. And do we have a great show lined up for you? Gobble, gobble. Wobble, make me wobble, make me wobble, make me wobble. Get under. Yeah. We're doing the turkey dance here. It's Thanksgiving week. We're excited. 3 Thursday games. We've had Thursday night football all season long. But Thanksgiving Day football coming up on Thursday in just a few days. If you're listening on Thursday, hope you're listening before a fantastic slate of Thanksgiving Day football, which we do have a Thanksgiving Day football contest, which I will announce in the middle of this show. Really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, actually, and everyone can participate. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're following us at, you can participate in the contest. Some college football news. Number 7 Cincinnati knocks off UCF in a close one on Saturday in the Bounce House in Orlando, 36-33. I don't think that win is going to be enough to vault Cincinnati into the college football playoff. Unfortunately, 4 spots is not going to be enough for a group of 5 team to make it, especially considering Ohio State's up there. They beat Indiana. Alabama's likely going to make it. And Notre Dame beating Clemson a few weekends ago is a huge shot to Cincinnati's chances, especially considering those teams will meet in just a few weeks in the ACC championship, barring a crazy North Carolina upset this weekend of Notre Dame, which could possibly happen. We'll see. North Carolina's offense is on fire, and Florida State ducking Clemson. That's what Dabo Swinney says. I don't know the facts. I don't know the details, but it was a weird situation with Clemson already in the locker room, ready to play football, and the game being canceled moments before kickoff. So interesting storylines there. Is COVID now an excuse to cancel games on the day of? That looks like that might be the case. 35-point dogs were the Seminoles at home against Clemson. So maybe they were trying to save some embarrassment. Who knows? But let's get into this. Jaguars versus Steelers, the back-to-back, the second game of the back-to-back of what was the hardest part of the schedule, Packers, then Steelers. And it doesn't get much easier down the line, especially considering we're 1-9 right now. It doesn't look like there's too many bright spots for the Jags. 27-3 loss for the Jags. I got the correct amount of points as far as the Steelers go. I was 3 touchdowns shy of the Jaguars' point total. So, Luke, jump in here real quick if you could. And did you see anything or notice anything in this Jags game that gives us any reason to be hopeful or excited, or is this just a dumpster fire?
Well, as my whiteboard behind me says, Luton is our tank commander. If you want to see the Jaguars lose more games, put Luton back out there. You're not going to go out there and win any games with Luton when he's throwing like that. I think I don't know if he can throw it without throwing his full force behind it, because every time he threw it, he would airmail people, and that would be an interception. He'd do it again, be more interceptions. So James Robinson, again, a highlight for us. He's been our best player. Maybe Minshew comes back next week, and it could be a little bit more exciting for Jaguars fans. Obviously, we still want to keep our wins down, but on the excitement level, Luton is just not there. But for losses, he's our tank commander.
So tank commander Luton, I like that. If he was going to be around longer, maybe make that into a T-shirt. Tank commander Luton with his head little popping out maybe and just firing off losses.
Driving the tank.
Sky.
Driving the tank, shooting L's.
That'd be a very good shirt. Like we said, 27-3. It just was not very good after the first quarter. The Jaguars were winning 3-0, which it's so funny after watching the Packers game and the Steelers game. You can see glimpses of a talented team. The talent just isn't there. They come out firing because they're excited. They might have a chip on their shoulder. That might be the case. And then they just lose it in the second half, and it turns into a 20-point game or whatever it was. Steven, I know you're on the road, so please be careful, but jump on in if you can. You're a Steelers fan, 27-3 over Jacksonville. Is that what you guys expected?
Maybe we could have scored a little, maybe we left some points on the board, but, on these type of games, you want to just minimize any potential injuries to key players, just keep healthy. and you just get out of there and escape with a victory, and that's basically what happened. I mean, Jags went down and scored points on their first opening drive of the game and didn't score after that. And so, from that standpoint, the defense did well and played well, and then the offense scored enough points to win, and that's the key to winning in this. That's the key to this league is winning games. So check those boxes and move on and get ready for Baltimore on Thursday night here on Turkeyday.
I like it. No, definitely a game that Pittsburgh was destined to win. Obviously, the better team, 10-0. Strength of schedule, obviously not a metric in the NFL, so not a big deal. You can only play who's on your schedule, as many UCF fans would be screaming through their iPhones or Androids at the podcast. You can only play who's on your schedule. Steelers have had a pretty decent schedule so far up to this point, so not too battle-tested, but we'll see where they go from here. Definitely a quality team. Any memorable moments for you guys this week? I mean, this was week 11. This was our best slate of games up to this point of the season, in my opinion. Just looking at the schedule, kind of going back to last Thursday night, Seattle upsetting Arizona, which many believed was going to be Kyler Murray's stamp on his dominance in that division, and Seattle's defense steps up and keeps things at bay as far as Kyler Murray is concerned. Any other surprises or memorable moments from week 11 as we welcome Jacob on here? Jacob, you missed our Jaguars recap. Sorry, not sorry. There really wasn't much to it. Jake Luton is the tank commander, according to Luke.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's helping us out there, right?
Yeah, it's and we have a game buffer now between the second and third pick. We can win another game if we want, just for fun. Or just go out there, just hang out, have some fun, maybe win a game. But destined to go 1-15. But memorable moments, any key games from this past weekend that you guys look at? I said Seattle, Arizona. That was a big upset there for Seattle. What about the rest of you guys?
Yeah, real quick, I'll just interject real quick. The Colts got a really big, I think that was a huge win. Really surprised to me. Packers were dominating the majority of that game. A key fumble by Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who UCF fans know well as their battles, and key fumble turned that game around. Colts Rodrigo Blankenship nails the game-winning field goal, and Colts hang right there 7-3 with the Titans.
And Steven, as you would like to say, when he ran out there, hey there, Rodrigo. Days when the Kicks game.
Where do we go? We go to 7-3, top of the division.
I like it. What about Luke, Matt? Jump in if you guys got anything from Week 11. Anything good?
I'll let Matt go first because I know he probably wants to talk about that overtime game.
Oh, that's cold, man. Come on.
Ouch, that one hurt. No, I don't want to talk about that. We've lost 3 in a row. But no, my most memorable is probably I was watching a little bit of Minnesota and Dallas, and I think both CeeDee Lamb and Adam Thielen probably had the catches of the year. Both acrobatic catches. Adam Thielen, I think, had a one-handed one in the corner of the end zone, and CeeDee Lamb almost had to go the opposite way of his body just to make a catch. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, if those two were opening up a seafood restaurant, it would be catch of the day every day there, because that was impressive for those two guys. CeeDee Lamb, I was like, did he just twist his body unnaturally, contortion style? What is going on? And then Adam Thielen, just a beautiful catch in a moment of need for the Vikings, but Cowboys marching down the field with the red rifle. Andy Dalton coming back from concussion protocol, winning that game, and what many believed was going to be the fifth straight win for the Minnesota Vikings. That didn't, or fourth straight win, for the Vikings. That did not happen. Luke, what about you, man?
I'm a big fan of the NFC least. I mean, they're all tied with 3 wins. Eagles on top with a tie in there, but you got to think the person who makes it through the playoffs is instantly losing like 10 draft spots just for being like 6 and 9 or something like that. I mean, they're instantly losing so many draft spots, and it's kind of like a battle to see who is the worst, and the best of the worst actually gets even worse by having 10 draft spots taken away from them.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Typically, it's between 2 or 3 positions in the draft, but all 3 of those teams would be top 12 picks right now in the NFL draft, and one of those teams is going to be picking 20th or later. I have a question for you guys, and Jacob, if you want to use this as your icebreaker, out of the 4 teams in the NFC East, which team would be the most prone to success in the playoffs? Like, which team would be capable of turning this thing around and becoming a team that could go on a deep run? And I'll say that by saying it's very funny how the NFC East right now is separated by a tie. It's almost like poetic justice that a tie is what's separating the 4 teams in that division. But Jacob, go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one because, I don't imagine any of the teams really doing too hot. Something about Andy Dalton coming back makes me want to kind of give them the shot just because they still have Zeke. They still have, 3 really good receivers. Andy Dalton's been a starter in this league before. With the Eagles, Carson Wentz isn't playing well. Washington football team, that's all I have to say. And then, the Giants, they've kind of been trouble. So it's like I kind of want to give credit to the Cowboys there probably.
Yeah, all those teams have shown glimpses of being extremely terrible, like right there with FCS level talent. But all those teams have also shown glimpses of wanting to win the division. So what is it? What I will say, a memorable moment for me from Week 11 was obviously Joe Burrow going down with his injury, very gruesome injury. But on the flip side of that, playing against the football team with Alex Smith as their captain, as their quarterback for that game, and he popped off. Like 2 games in a row, Alex Smith showed up. So kudos to Alex Smith. And speaking of knee injuries, could UCFC Mackenzie Milton get on the field on Friday against South Florida? Who knows? That's for another day to discuss. That would be crazy. Horns down. Horns down. Boo, MVS. Valdez-Scantling, of course you dropped that. You went to South Florida. But anyways, we'll move on to the Week 12 games. Some good stuff from Week 11. I do want to go over the Thanksgiving games real quick because we have Houston at Detroit, which always at Detroit. Washington at Dallas when they used to be the Redskins. What an American game that was, Redskins versus Cowboys. And then Ravens at Pittsburgh. So the night is kind of capped off by maybe the most intriguing game on that slate. But for anyone listening, we're going to do a Thanksgiving Day contest. So comment on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you follow us. Text me. I don't care. Message me. Whatever it is. For those 3 games, I want you to pick against the spread, your pick against the spread, the over-under, and the total turnovers for each game. So the spread is 3.5 in favor of Houston, 3.5 in favor of Dallas, and 5.5 in favor of the Steelers. The over-unders are 49.5 Houston, Detroit, 48.5 Washington, Dallas, 46.5 Baltimore, Pittsburgh. If you didn't get all that, it's going to be on a graphic on Instagram, and I'll put it down below in the video as well. So message me, comment what your picks are against the spread, over-unders, and total turnovers for each game because we love defense, we love turnovers. So that'll be the Thanksgiving Day contest. But, Matt, I know you have an intrigue matchup you want to get to that kind of ties right into that Thanksgiving Day slate.
Yeah, so my intrigue matchup's going to be staying in the NFC least, going with Washington and Dallas. Both teams 3-7. Both teams calling off a win. Alex Smith has looked pretty good so far coming back from his injury. So hopefully that keeps going well for him. From the Cowboys, I think if you're a Cowboys fan, I think you got to be a little bit excited because that's probably one of the best games they've played all year. Everybody got involved. Zeke played well. Amari Cooper played well. CeeDee Lamb. Even Schultz, their tight end, got involved. So would think the division title coming down to the wire with about 5 games to go, definitely something to keep an eye on.
I like it, and I'm glad you brought that up. Next week, we're going to dive deeper into the playoff races, maybe get more clarity this week. But that is a very exciting matchup for being Thanksgiving with 3-7 teams. If it wasn't a divisional matchup, it wouldn't be that exciting. But because it's a divisional matchup, it actually does draw some interest. And then for you later that night, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, your team's been on a skid. Steven's team's been on a run. What's it going to be? Are the Ravens or the Blackbirds going to be turning it around for the team from the Steel City?
If we can figure out how to finish games, then yeah, I still think consider us to be a favorable matchup for us. But like I said, we had a chance down at the end against Tennessee to win the game, and we couldn't do it. We had set for a field goal, and then defensively, we just got to tackle. That's just plain so we got to tackle. Defensive line played well. They played a lot better as I anticipated with the injuries we have. But for Baltimore, I said we got to finish games against the top team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game, right, in the NFL is finishing games, and very rarely are you going to be going up against teams that aren't capable of putting together late-game drives. We saw it happen in that Cowboys-Vikings game like we already talked about earlier in the show. For me, I'll just touch base on Houston-Detroit. This wouldn't be an intrigue matchup if it wasn't on Thanksgiving, but there's nothing quite like waking up on a day off of work, day out of school, to some 12:30 football, no matter who it is. It's going to be a fun day of football, like we've mentioned before. Houston at 3.5, like that seems like the obvious pick to make, but Detroit coming off a 20-0 loss at the hands of XFL and Temple legend PJ Walker. They're going to have something to prove in Detroit, and they're playing at home on Thanksgiving. So I would imagine that they'll put up a fight there. I mean, that's the only intrigue in it, is how is Detroit going to bounce back? Houston coming off a win over New England, which, how excited are they for that win? But what does their future hold? And then my intrigue matchup is going to be Tennessee at Indianapolis. I think this is going to be a fantastic game to watch. As Steven mentioned earlier, Indianapolis coming off a fantastic overtime win over the Packers, who many thought had won the game before the first half was even over, blew a 14-point halftime lead, had the ball to start overtime. Not many people see Aaron Rodgers lose games when he starts with the ball in overtime, and Indianapolis finds a way to win the game there. That's going to be exciting. Tennessee coming off a great overtime win themselves against the Ravens to stay kind of in control of their own destiny as well. Looks like both those teams will be playoff teams. But Luke, let's swing over to you. Go into your intrigue matchup if you have one for us.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Chargers and the Bills. Justin Herbert looks like he could be on track for Rookie of the Year. I mean, they didn't think he was going to be in this season with Tyrod Taylor, and then Tyrod had that rib injury or punctured lung, and now he's coming in, and it looks like every week he just keeps better and better with more connections to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. If they had Austin Eckler, they would have a potent offense that is just scoring on all cylinders. And if they could beat the Bills and Miami wins, that makes the AFC East look really interesting going forward.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day about the Bills being excited that the Patriots were finally below 500, and then it was the Dolphins, insert the Dolphins as the next dominant team to take over that division. Let's see what happens there. Good intrigue matchup, though. That'll be fun. Chargers have lost all their games this year by single digits, so that is a close one to keep an eye on. Steven, let's go over to you. I have a feeling I know what your intrigue matchup is, and rightfully so. Give it to us if you can, man.
Yep, it's down there in Tampa again. It's the Bucs versus the Chiefs coming up this next week on Sunday. Bucs did not look good again. In another primetime game at home. Is this going to be another repeat performance against a quality opponent for the Bucs? I mean, I sound like a broken record right now, but I just need to see more from old Tommy boy there. I think he's getting senile and his age is really showing. I think Father Time's not knocking on that door, and here comes the prince that was promised, Patrick Mahomes, to come into Tampa, and I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath for the Chiefs. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Your video wasn't working, but we got your audio, so we'll take it. You got a radio voice anyway, Steven. Who are we kidding? No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm totally kidding. We like that matchup. Kansas City at Tampa Bay. We saw Tom Brady bounce back after that game versus the Saints, where they almost got shut out, just obliterated at home. And he bounced back with a nice one over the Panthers. Now he suffered another big loss to the Rams. So what's going to happen in this one versus the Chiefs? Bucs fighting for a playoff spot. Chiefs kind of in control of their own destiny. Jacob, from that, I know we didn't discuss at all before the podcast. From what you've heard, what would your intrigue matchup of the week be?
So my intrigue matchup's gonna line up with Luke's. He kind of mentioned it. It's not the craziest matchup, but I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets for one of the reasons that Luke said. If the Bills somehow lose to Justin Herbert, who's pretty hot this year, and Miami beats New York, which I think most people think they will, they had a rough go at it last week against Denver. They even benched Tua, brought in Fitzpatrick. But I think they'll get back on track, and it's going to be kind of cool to see that because they've been a really fun team to watch. But, yeah, if they win, which I think they will, and we watch the intrigue matchup of Luke and see if Herbert upsets the Bills, then, like he said, that AFC East division is going to look pretty interesting moving forward.
Yeah, it's intrigue matchup for Jacksonville fans as well. Obviously, if the Jets can pull off the upset somehow, it helps us out in the draft standing for Trevor Lawrence. But Miami has a lot to bounce back from and a lot to answer to as well. Just a disappointing loss to Denver. I had bad feelings about that game going into it. Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in. They've been saying that they're going to go back to Tua, which I think could be the right decision and will be the right decision. I think every kind of rookie has that one roadblock obstacle game, and Denver's defense is nothing to necessarily laugh at. So a little bit justifiable. Briefly, real quick, I'll just go through Jags Browns, and if anyone wants to touch base on that as well, feel free to. But obviously, two teams just going in separate directions right now. Browns and Jags have shared a lot of humiliation and embarrassment over the last 15, 20 years. It's just been one team or the other as the laughing stock of the league, among a few other teams in there. It is what it is. But Browns obviously have their stuff together. They're doing things the right way right now, and Jaguars are on the exact opposite end of the spectrum. So Jaguars are in a position to play spoiler kind of against a team that maybe isn't the most battle-tested when it comes to these must-win games. And I say must-win games because it's a game that there's no way they should lose. It's not a must-win for their future of the season, which it could be kind of where their standings are now. But this is a game they should win, and they better win. And if they don't win, that's a problem for their organization. So maybe the Jaguars come out firing like they did against the Packers, like they did against the Steelers, and maybe the Browns aren't able to put a stop to it. But I do see the Browns winning this one. We'll get to predictions in a little bit. But in my opinion, I think we may have seen enough of Jake Luton. Futon, we've been sleeping on him. But Jake Luton, I think it's been enough of him. It was exciting for 1 week, and then that was it. So get him out of there. Jags Browns on Sunday, not that intriguing. If anyone else does have any thoughts on Jags Browns, feel free to jump in now, and if not, feel free to jump in with a fantasy boom, bust, or sleeper. If you have one or two, let me know. But let's roll through the fantasy section. What you guys got?
I actually have a question. I'm curious to see what you guys all think. I'm thinking about doing a trade. Would you guys, if you were the owner of Zeke Elliott, accept a trade for Juju Smith-Schuster and Kenyon Drake?
So you'd be trading Zeke away for Juju Smith-Schuster and Kenyon Drake. What's your?
I have Kenyon Drake and Smith-Schuster.
Oh, so you'd be getting Zeke.
I'd be getting Zeke.
And you've had issues with your receivers in the past where you've had too many, right? So
I have too many, so I'm trying to get rid of one, and then I'm also sweetening the deal so that he gets Kenyon Drake since he's losing Zeke.
Yeah, but Chase Edmonds has been kind of taking points from Drake, so I mean, maybe, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good trade to me, just based off of what I've heard from your receiver portion.
Yeah, I would take the trade and get Zeke because I just took a trade and got Zeke, and he gave me 19 points. So hopefully that vibe goes off to you. Just saying.
I would do
that.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, honestly, Zeke is really, really talented, and I think the team around him has been struggling. But Andy Dalton, kind of played a little well. I mean, CeeDee Lamb made a huge catch. So if that offense gets back and going, Zeke is the workhorse that gets it going, really.
I would do it, Luke. I would do it, but let's do it. Give me one boom, bust, or sleeper. If you have one or two, that's fine. If you don't have one of any of those three, that's okay as well. I'll start it off with my boom is going to be DK Metcalf this week. I think they're playing Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia's kind of had their issues on defense. Obviously, a 3-7 team. Anytime you can get that, I like DK Metcalf. He's been pretty reliable all season, as well as I like Derek Carr. They have a pretty good matchup this week as well against Atlanta. We saw what Taysom Hill was just able to do to Atlanta. So I say Derek Carr, and that kind of takes me to my sleeper. I think Darren Waller is a pretty good sleeper this week. If you have him at the tight end position, feel free to start Darren Waller as a sleeper, as well as Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, two guys that I don't think get enough credit at all. Those would be two other sleepers as well. I'll leave out my busts because I just did a few people there. I don't want to take any more people from anyone. Matt, do you want to jump in? Do you have any fantasy updates or fantasy news for the people out there listening?
Yeah, so I'll go my boom as Deshaun Watson. Played really well last week going into a Thursday night Thanksgiving matchup. Might as well keep it going for him. My bust, I'm going to go with, same with the Eagles as I mentioned Carson Wentz last week. This week I'm going with Travis Fulgham. Back-to-back weeks, he gets 1 catch for 8 yards. Might as well stay consistent with it. So let's just keep going. He's going to be my bust. And then my sleeper, I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel from the Carolina Panthers. I know we don't talk about the Panthers much, but Curtis Samuel had a pretty good game last week with P.J. Walker being at the helm. And with Teddy Bridgewater projected to be back this week, he could potentially be a flex option.
I like it. No, those are 3 really good points. I was actually kind of eyeing Watson myself. Luke, over to you. Any fantasy advice or booms, busts, or sleepers from you?
I do like Scary Terry playing against the Cowboys defense. The Cowboys defense giving up a lot of points. Alex Smith and Scary Terry connecting on a touchdown last week. So let's see if he can continue it, especially against that weak Cowboys defense.
Now, if you're looking for a streamer option, would you say Alex Smith is an okay streamer option for this week, considering his last 2 weeks?
I would say so against the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys defense hasn't been able to stop mostly anybody. Luckily, their offense put 34 points up on the board against the Vikings, but I mean, they still let up 28. So Alex Smith, if you're struggling at quarterback, could be an option.
Yeah, and when you're looking for a streamer, obviously you're looking for a guy that has a high-quality matchup, just a really easy, favorable matchup with a high ceiling, and someone that can get you maybe at least 17 to 20 points, just someone to have in there to get you percentages of what your starter typically would. So, yeah, I do like Alex Smith there, actually. Let's go to you, Steven. Steven, any fantasy booms, busts, or sleepers this week?
Yeah, I like the pick with Terry McLaurin, not just because he's one of my fantasy receivers, but I do like that a lot. And then another boom, but could also be like a sleeper because, you typically don't really talk about defenses, but I think the Browns just had 21 points this past week. I think they could be in for another big type point game against the Jaguars. No offense to the Jags fans in this podcast. And then a sleeper, I'm going to go big hot rod, Rodrigo Blankenship. I think that could be a lot of field goals could be kicked in the Indy dome-ish
game, yeah.
stadium that they play in. So, look for hot rod.
I like it. Hey there, Rodrigo. What do you got this week? Jacob, fantasy for you, booms, busts, and sleepers.
So my main guy that I'm kind of looking at, not really sure if I should call him a boom or a sleeper because I think you start him if you have him. But the reason I kind of want to highlight him is because it's Justin Jefferson. And the reason is he's already had a pretty good season. He leads the team in yards. But Adam Thielen was recently put on the COVID-19 reserve list. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he'll be good by game time. If not, Jefferson could be, the top dog and the lone dog. And if so, even though it's a kind of a tough matchup, Justin Jefferson is capable of making huge plays, and he could get a lot of targets. And I would love to see him pop off because I have him in my fantasy league.
Yeah, no, that's a good call there. Tough matchup indeed. Carolina just allowing 0 points to the Detroit Lions this past week, 0 points. So I can only imagine. I think I saw Marvin Jones catch 1 ball while I was watching Red Zone, but very little receiver work from the Lions. Vikings, obviously a better team. Maybe Dalvin Cook can help kind of break some of that obstacle there from the Panthers defense. But that is a tough matchup, but I like it. Yeah, I would kind of classify that as a sleeper, but with feeling out, maybe a boom. So I see where you're confused there. Let's get into predictions, picks, hot takes, anything like that. I'm going to go Jaguars, Browns. I'll go 27-17 Browns. I do think the Jags will look more competitive than the Browns, but it could be one of those games where 1 or 2 mistakes again do it for the Jags. 27-17 for our 10th straight loss. And while I'm at it, congratulations to Shad Khan, 100th loss of his ownership in Jacksonville. So we need, I think, 4 consecutive undefeated seasons to officially have him be at 500. So 100 losses for Shad Khan against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think they might hold over our head for a little while. Let's go back to you, Matt. If you got a prediction for your Ravens game as well as the Jaguars game or your intrigue matchup.
Yeah, Ravens, if we do happen to play, because we've got 2 starters right now on COVID-19, but much as well as other players and staff members. If they do happen to play, I'm not too sure about my boys this week, so I'm going to go Pittsburgh 30-21. Jags, Cleveland. Not too sure. Cleveland is going to pull away this one, I think. But I'll go 26-13. And then my hot take, I'm going to go back to my intrigue matchup because we kept talking about ties as we talked about earlier on this podcast. I think it's going to be amazing that both the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys are going to tie. And might as well just make it a tie for second place in there at 3-7-1. They're going to blow people's minds, or people's going to be shaking their heads saying, nope, I'm not surprised at all. Just for that division, it's just an absolute – it's just horrible. But let's just see it happen.
I like it. Steven, Steelers prediction, Jags prediction from you? Maybe Bucks Chiefs prediction as well?
Yeah.
All right, Steven, it looks like we lost you for a second. Steven, we lost you.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you in a second. Or wait, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. All right, go for it.
Yeah. So I said, like Matt said, a lot of respect for Matt and the Ravens. Just kind of stinks to see that Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins will be out of the game. Hopefully it can still be played. This time around, it is in Pittsburgh. I do like, that kind of favors Pittsburgh. It was close last time, and it's a rivalry game. I do like Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh to win, but wouldn't be surprised to see Ravens if they ended up winning. Going to the Bucks game, I'm kind of done with the Bucks. I think I've seen enough. I don't think they're going to really do a whole lot in the playoffs. They can change my mind when it gets to that point. I think Kansas City just comes in and Mahomes and company stay hot. And then as far as the Jags go, the Jags take one more step towards getting officially a lock in the top 2 pick. So,
I like it.
Hopefully they can keep turning to the future, but don't really just see much hope. Even though I would wish them to beat the Browns.
No, I like it. It'd be great to beat the Browns, especially considering we can win a game and not ruin our draft position. That would be kind of nice for us, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, 27-17 Browns. Also, I didn't do my intrigue matchups. I have Houston winning that game. I'm not going to give the points because of the contest, but I do have Houston winning that game. Actually, I have Detroit winning that game. Actually, now you don't know because of the contest. You don't know who I'm taking. So I'm not going to give you my thoughts on that one. Tennessee, Indianapolis, however, that's going to be a battle. I'm going to take Indianapolis 24-23. I like Indy's defense. I think they're the more clutch team is what it's looked like in the past few weeks. And they already beat Tennessee a few weeks ago in Tennessee. So here they are in the Dome on the weekend of Thanksgiving. I like Indianapolis in that one, 24-23. Luke, let's go to you. Your score predictions for Jags Browns as well as your intrigue matchup, Chargers at Bills.
So my choice for the Jags Browns, if Luton gets strolled out there again, we'll probably lose 24-14. Hopefully we might be able to see Minshew do some practice reps this week. If Minshew rolls out there, I still think we lose from a little bit of rust, but I think it will be a competitive game with a 1-score difference, 24-20. Now for my intrigue matchup, Bills, Chargers. The Chargers are going over to the East Coast to the Buffalo Bills. So usually when you're going across from coast to coast, it kind of makes it harder for the team that's traveling. So they're going to have some rust on it. So Bills win that one 24-17.
I like it. And the Bills are obviously a great team. Pretty sure coming off a bye last week. So works out pretty well for them, kind of getting some rest, but Justin Herbert's hot. So I would like to just see a good game there between those two teams. I'd like to see what the Chargers can do. What you got, Luke?
I'm also intrigued at the weather situation because it is going to be almost December up in Buffalo, New York. Do we have a chance for a white snowy game? And if that happens, then there's no prediction I can give at that point. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
That'd be crazy. Similar to the Browns game from a few weeks ago, we've seen a few low-scoring games in some pretty shitty weather already this season. Jacob, for you, Jags-Browns prediction as well as Jets-Dolphins prediction.
Well, I know that Luke mentioned Gardner Minshew potentially playing. I'm going to assume that he doesn't, and because of that, I think we're going to have a very rough day on offense. I think they're going to just run all over us all day because even though the run defense has looked a little better recently, that team just runs better than most teams in the league. I put us down for 31-13. And you said also the Jets-Dolphins game is what you asked?
Yeah, that was your intrigue matchup, right?
Correct, yeah. I think I'm going to give the Dolphins a win, maybe about 27-6. I think that defense is really good, and I think they'll come back and just destroy the Jets, in my opinion.
No, I like it. I mean, that's a good bounce back game for them. But again, with weather, Dolphins going up to Detroit going up to New York, after traveling out to Denver. Young quarterback there, young team in general. They've positioned themselves nicely. They're at 6-4 right now. They've positioned themselves nicely this season. But what's going to happen if the weather is up in the air? And weird things tend to happen after Thanksgiving, after Halloween, really. But after Thanksgiving in the NFL, teams start to get desperate. Teams find a way to win. I'm actually going to say that's my hot take is Jets beat the Dolphins just because I like to just think that the Jags might get the number one pick somehow. But that's going to be my hot take. But that is going to be all for us here on episode 58, the Week 12 NFL preview. I appreciate all of you guys being here. It's been fantastic doing this. Thanks again. Big shout out to you guys. And we'll see you after Thanksgiving, I'm sure, to get back to some NFL football talk again. It's going to be a fun week of NFL football and also college football as well. Some big games coming up in the world of college football, including UCF at South Florida. Possible return for Mackenzie Milton. Who knows? Be on the lookout for the Thanksgiving Day football contest that we talked about in this episode. There will be a graphic that goes out about it, and it'll be at the bottom of this video, so it'll be easy to understand, easy to read. Comment, message me. Any way you get it to me before the games start on Thursday, you will be entered into the contest, and it'll be a fun reason to watch those games on Thursday. But until next time, go enjoy Thanksgiving. Go enjoy some family time. Go stay safe. Go do all that fun stuff. Enjoy some time away from work, away from school, away from the office, whatever it is, and definitely go make this world a better place. Take care.
How can I be the man when you're the man? How can I be the man when you're the man? How can I be the man when you're the man?
Be sure to follow our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast streaming services, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out unique video elements for each interview.